What if Okarun and Momo were in Demon Slayer? Would Okarun with his Turbo Granny powers be as fast as Akaza, Duma, Kokushibo, or even Muzan? Could Momo with her spiritual powers defeat an Upper Moon or even Muzan? Look, Okarun can run at a speed of 100 km per hour. That means he's nowhere near the level of a Demon Slayer like Tanjiro at the beginning of his journey. That's right, you heard me. At the beginning of his journey, Tanjiro was able to fight demons like Kyogai, who attacked him with sound waves. In fact, he was able to surpass that speed in order to defeat him, but all of this was thanks to his water breathing technique. So, will Okarun and Momo learn some kind of breathing style to increase their powers and match the demons? However, the more interesting question is, what changes will Okarun and Momo make in Demon Slayer? By the way, how did Okarun and Momo end up in Demon Slayer? Notice that Momo and Okarun are always on the front lines fighting against various yokai and aliens. So, when Momo was captured by an alien, Okarun went to rescue her. However, the aliens developed a weapon capable of sending Okarun to another universe so that nothing could get in their way. But the weapon goes out of control and hits both teenagers. Momo and Okarun find themselves in a dense forest surrounded by sinister spiders that attack them with all their ferocity. However, the young man, just like them, is fighting against the spiders. It was none other than Zenitsu. Neither of them can stand still. Soon, thinking he is a yokai, both of them get ready for battle. Momo, with her powers, locates the largest source of spiritual energy, coming from a gigantic spider that was commanding the attack of the smaller spiders. Okarun, with Momo on his back, runs toward the spider Oni. Momo quickly grabs the spider Oni with her spiritual hands and crushes it forcefully. Easily, however, it regenerates and keeps attacking Momo and Okarun with its poisons. Meanwhile, Zenitsu uses his breathing technique and cuts off the Oni's head, saving Momo and Okarun. Because of the poison, Zenitsu is unable to move, but Okarun carries Zenitsu in search of help until they meet Tomioka and Shinobu. To Okarun's surprise, both of them attack him in order to decapitate him. However, he manages to narrowly escape. Zenitsu, who was with him, says that Okarun and Momo helped him defeat the Oni. And soon, when Okarun returns to his human form, Tomioka and Shinobu discuss Okarun and Momo. With Tomioka leaving Okarun under Shinobu's command and running toward Tanjiro. After a long conversation, Shinobu decides to take them to the Demon Slayer Corps, so that both can talk to Kaguya, the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps. Both are looking for a way to return to their own universe. Kaguya explains to them how they can return home. Unlike in their universe, here there are no yokai, but rather Onis, which the hunters fight every night. The Onis can have unique powers, and some of them might be able to take them back home. Kaguya wants both of them to fight by his side to find Muzan and a way to return home. Okarun and Momo, thanks to their powers, join Rengoku and the others on the Mugen train. Thanks to Momo's powers, she is able to use spiritual energy to locate all the Onis, including Enmu. Soon the hunters don't fall for his Kikijutsu, and the train passengers aren't taken hostage, but the house causes the train to derail. And now, will Momo and Okarun be able to help in the battle against Akaza? Will it at least be possible to save Rengoku? Before I tell you, use your spiritual energy to like the video and unlock your yokai powers. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Now look, Okarun barely reaches Tanjiro's speed, which is supersonic, while Akaza moves at hypersonic speed. And he fights on equal footing with Rengoku. The hunters can barely even see what's happening in the battle between the two. However, Momo, at certain moments, with her spiritual hand, manages to protect Rengoku from Akaza's attacks, which gives Rengoku a strategic advantage during the battle. However, she can't keep up with the battle and ends up hindering more than helping at certain moments. After Momo decides to stay out of it, even with her minimal help, Rengoku still dies at the hands of Akaza, which shakes all the hunters, including Momo and Okarun. Thanks to Rengoku's determination, the demon flees with the sunrise. However, determined to stop the demon, Okarun quickly gets in his way and Tanjiro throws his sword at the Oni, making him stop and look back. That gives Momo enough time to grab the Oni with her spiritual hands and pull him into the sunlight. Momo was determined to stop the Oni. The boys felt inspired by Rengoku's sacrifice. And remember, Momo's spiritual power reacts to her willpower and emotional state. The more determined she is, the more powerful she becomes. Make no mistake, even though Akaza is extremely strong, Momo is too. Her powers can hold back cars, trucks, and even giant yokai. Because of this, Akaza is disintegrated and the hunters achieve a victory against one of Muzan's strongest upper moons. Unfortunately, Rengoku died, but he fulfilled his role of protecting everyone. Back at the organization, Momo and Okarun wish to become stronger in order to match the level of the Onis. Before the hunters embark on their next mission, both train hard. However, they still have no knowledge of the power of the breathing techniques. Before Zui can take Shinobu's girls to the entertainment district, he calls Momo to be his spy in the entertainment district. And of course, Okarun wouldn't let her go alone, much less Tanjiro and his friends. Momo, working undercover in the district houses, uses her spiritual power to find where Daki kept her victims. She also locates the Oni. When Zui decapitates her, Gyutaro appears and fights against Zui and Tanjiro. Momo and Okarun fight alongside Zenitsu and Inosuke against Daki. Daki's sashes still prove to be an obstacle for both of them. But while Okarun distracts Daki, Momo holds her ribbons and Zenitsu clears the way for Inosuke to decapitate the Oni. Finally, Tanjiro awakens his mark against Gyutaro and decapitates the Oni, bringing an end to the battle against the Oni siblings. When Tanjiro says he's going to the Swordsmith village in search of a new sword, Momo and Okarun go with him at Kaguya's request, who sends a message to Mitsuru and Mutiru, who would be there to train them and also to help them find their own Nichirin swords so that they can finally decapitate the Onis. Unfortunately, Momo and Okarun don't have enough time for proper training because soon Gyoku appears with his demon fish attacking the Swordsmith village. Meanwhile, Rantengo appears in Tanjiro's room while he is talking with Mutiru and Okarun. When Mutiru decapitates Rantengo, his clones appear, forcing Mutiru and Okarun out of the room. Momo and Mitsuri were at another inn close to the village, so the girls protect the blacksmiths from the demon fish. After falling into the forest, Mutiru and Okarun meet Gyoku, the Upper Moon 5. This time, Mutiru is not hit by Gyoku's poisonous thorns because he was only hit before when he was protecting the blacksmiths around him. But this time, Okarun is the one who does that, thanks to his tremendous speed. Because of this, Mutiru is able to handle Gyoku easily. However, he still gets poisoned. Who would have thought, right? This happens because Gyoku's 1,000 slippery slime fish have poison in their blood. And after defeating those fish, Mutiru is drenched in that poison. However, he manages to resist and finish off Gyoku thanks to the smaller amount of poison. Mutiru can fight alongside Tanjiro, Nezuko, Genya, and Mitsuri against Rantengo. We can't forget about Momo, who is providing support with her spiritual hands. While our hunters search for the head of Rantengo's original clone, Mutiru and Mitsuri held off Zoro Zohakuten with their awakened hunter marks. Thanks to Momo, the search for the Oni's head was easier, locating it in the forest. But he still manages to resist the hunter's attack and escape to devour the blacksmiths. In front of the sun, Nezuko becomes immune to it and Tanjiro finally decapitates the Oni. Thanks to these events, the village is saved and Muzan rushes toward the hunter's core to absorb Nezuko. In the meantime, the Hashira training begins. And finally, Momo and Okarun learn a breathing technique to fight against the Onis, increasing their range of skills and powers. But what are Momo and Okarun's breathing techniques? Well, before I tell you, Turbo Granny said to let you know that if you don't subscribe to the channel, she'll steal your golden balls. Now notice that Okarun fits better with water breathing. A calmer and more precise style, especially since he can in a way understand how Tomioka feels from being trained by the water Hashira. Meanwhile, since Momo already has a better understanding of Michiri, she is trained by the love Hashira and learns her breathing technique. With Muzan's arrival, he takes everyone to the Infinity Castle, with Momo and Okarun together. This time, with their Nichirin swords, both of them are able to greatly add to the strength of the Demon Slayers. As they move through the rooms of the Infinity Castle, they encounter Duma, the Upper Moon 2 who was fighting against Shinobu. Momo is in charge of protecting the Demon Slayers from Duma's attacks with her spiritual hands, which greatly irritates the demon since he can't see them. However, Duma tries in every way to take down Momo, since he knows she is the one with those annoying powers, but she is being carried by Okarun. Soon, with their increased speed, they move across and leap over Duma's ice, dodging his attacks and not allowing the demon to cause serious injuries to Shinobu. As her poison starts affecting Duma, Kanao and Nosuke arrive to help in the battle, finally putting an end to Duma. And what about the other battles in the Infinity Castle? Look, with Akaza dead, there wouldn't be an upper moon left for Tomioka and Tanjiro to fight together against. In that case, they would move through the rooms of the castle searching for Muzan, eventually encountering Kokushibo. Thanks to that, with both hunters present in the fight, Muteru's death in the battle against Upper Moon 1 wouldn't happen. With everyone heading toward Muzan, the King of Demons is furious. Unfortunately for the hunters, the only way to eliminate Muzan is by holding the King of Demons until sunrise. An epic battle takes place with heavy casualties. But when the sun rises, the hunters are exhausted. However, Muzan, in an attempt to escape, transforms into a giant baby. However, Okarun bites Muzan and Momo holds him with her spiritual powers, helping the hunters annihilate Muzan, the King of Demons, once and for all. Unfortunately, Gyomei and Muteru were not able to survive this battle, but thanks to them, humanity finally achieved its victory against the demons. Thanks to Momo's grandmother, Seiko, with the help of yokai, she manages to bring Okarun and Momo back so the three of them together can put an end to the alien threat. Which character should appear next in Demon Slayer? I picked out this video for you to watch. I guarantee you won't regret it.